You said that you would prosecute Donald Trump. He reacted this week to ABC News. He said if he were you, he would do the same thing. What is your reaction to that?
I'm sorry. I would prosecute.
You said that you would prosecute Donald Trump.
No, I didn't. I said that that the Department of Justice will need to go and follow the facts wherever they lead. And because I believe that is what they would do, and that's what they should do.
So Harris told NPR last week her administration's Justice Department would likely pursue criminal obstruction of justice charges against the president. Meanwhile, Mayor Pete Buttigieg also weighed in, saying the next White House should not be involved in the decision.
Your fellow 2020 Democrat, your opponent, Senator Kamala Harris, said this week that if she is elected president, her Justice Department would have no choice but to go forward with obstruction of justice charges against President Trump. Would the Justice Department under President Buttigieg feel the same way, do the same thing?
My Justice Department will be empowered to reach its own conclusions. Two things are true and clear. One, nobody is above the law. And two, the prosecutorial process should have nothing to do with politics. The less this has to do with the president, the better.
All right, joining us here on set, MSNBC legal analyst Danny Cevallos. Some of this has remnants of 2016 when you had President Trump saying that he was going to prosecute, when you had then candidate Trump saying he was going to prosecute then candidate Hillary Clinton. The problem was with regard to the emails. The problem was he didn't necessarily have evidence to back that up. Now, in fact, you're hearing Kamala Harris kind of dance around that, Senator Harris dance around that. You heard Pete Buttigieg says the White House shouldn't necessarily be involved in a decision like that. Is this a bit premature to be talking about stuff like this, despite the fact that there was a 480-page Mueller report laying out 10 instances of possible obstruction of justice from the president?
It may not be premature. What it really may be is already resolved. If you look at all of the precedent, all of the Mueller report, it concludes largely that a sitting president cannot be prosecuted. And politically speaking, we're entering this strange new phase in the last few years where some candidates, their platform is whether or not they'll prosecute other politicians. But the president, we talk about no man or woman is above the law. The president may be an exception to that. And the Mueller report is a testament to the fact that a sitting president cannot be prosecuted.
And Democrats are clearly playing on what is a liberal fever dream of wanting to see Donald Trump either frog marched out of the White House or, spending time on Rikers Island when he's no longer president. But let's just play out this hypothetical. What's the statute of limitations here? So if he gets 2 terms, could the then next Democratic president potentially in 2024 then prosecute him?
This is a great question. There's a really fantastic law review note coming out from Penn Law this year about this exact topic, and it's this. When you have a statute of limitations and a president who cannot be prosecuted, does the concept of what we call equitable tolling, does the judge or the court hit the pause button on that statute of limitations saying that, well, because the president can't be prosecuted while he's in office, do we wait until he's out and hit the pause button and then restart it after he's out of office? And the answer is probably no. For the most part, tolling is something that we use in civil cases where you're just handing over money. When somebody's life or liberty is at stake and the statute of limitations is clearly written in federal law, it's usually 5 years, you can't hit the pause button just because you think it would be fair. That would be unfair to a criminal defendant. So in all likelihood, if President Trump is in office long enough that all the statutes of limitations against him expire, then he's probably in the clear.
All right. Danny Cevallos, thanks for your time this morning.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.